She's the one that everyone else comes to when they can't decide, the one they look to lead, and now here she was and she couldn't decide. In this video, I'm going to take you inside a real coaching session with a high-performing creative leader and a member within the Prestige, our Applied Somatics Academy and Mastermind, and I'm going to show you exactly the 3 decision gates I walked her through, the questions I asked her that helped her sort through the mess and get to the heart of the thing that needed done. So by the end, she found her answer. Watch how. By the way, before we go further, this is not a beginner's problem. In fact, the further that you go, the more specific this tension shows up between the old work that earned you everything that you have now and your reputation. We would call that the old identity. And then the tension of the new work that you're choosing and claiming and the new identity that you're evolving into. And the tension between the two in the messy middle is exactly this thing. So most of us will hit this edge at least once. And if you are someone who lives on the leading edge of your own potential, you'll hit it again and again and again. That pull between who you've been and who you've are becoming. So let's dive in. She came to the coaching session with a tricky situation. Not so long ago, maybe a month or so ago, she made a big declaration and a decision. This is all of the old work that I used to do, and I'm no longer looking to grow that. This is the new work that I feel called to evolve into as an international leader. And so that declaration happened months ago, and then wouldn't you know it, surprise, surprise, she came to this coaching call saying, remember all of that old work? Like somehow job offer after job offer after job offer, like the ones that I would have killed to be offered, they're coming to me now. It's a lot of money, it's a great opportunity, but I also just made this declaration, this devotion to where I'm evolving. So like, should I say yes? Should I say no? Like, it feels really messy. So these were the places where we went next. And you can take notes because these are the exact specific questions that you can ask yourself whenever you're at a similar place. And stay tuned till the end because I have a 4th kind of bonus sauce question for you. The first gate, the first question set that I led her into was, all right, well, tell me, if it's old work and old job offers, new work and evolving growth, is it really an either or can it be a both and? I didn't know what she was going to say. It really someone could make the case for both, right? So she stopped and she's like, actually, although I was seeing it as either or, it could be a both and. Great. Decision gate passed. We moved into the next set. Well, now that it's a both and, what's the complication? And you could still see she's like, not sorted inside, you know? And she's like, well, that's the thing. Like, I know I could do both, but I'm worried about what it's going to cost. Aha. Now we're into that second decision gate, which is, what is the fear underneath of the thing? Because this is what I know working with the population we do. It's not as simple as not knowing what to do. Many times they know what they want, they know what to do, right? But there's a tricky bit. And so now we're talking about the tricky bit. All right, what makes it complicated? And what she shared was that, well, last time that I started saying yes, and last time job offers like this started coming in, I kept being a yes because you shouldn't say no to great opportunities. You should be grateful for the work and the great pay while it's here because it may not be here forever. And so I just kept saying yes years ago, and I became completely burned out, totally depleted. I had to pause the work that I actually wanted to grow And I had a lot of tension with my family because I felt pulled in so many different directions. And I don't want to go back. I can't go back to that burned out version, just totally depleted. That was the real crux of things. And so we've worked together. I know her. I know the work that we've done. And one of the particular principles that she has been training with us in the Prestige, by the way, this is in our book, Becoming the Grand Formidable, and I'm going to reference it. It's a principle called You Are the Asset. There are somatic practices associated with it and deep embodiment in the principle. But I'm going to read a little excerpt. I reminded her, remember though, you aren't the you of years ago. You're the you of now. So what have you been training differently? And she said, you are the asset. The body becomes an instrument instead of a shield. Your movements lose their hesitation. Your perception widens. Your energy stops leaking into vigilance. You feel the difference between carrying your life and being carried by it. Even the smallest internal adjustment, a slower inhale, a softer jaw, ripples outward and changes how you speak, act, and choose. So when she was reminded that she is the asset, she's been practicing this, not just in concept, but in real applied application, she was like, oh yeah, I'm not that person that allowed burnout and depletion before. So if I say yes to this new work, first of all, saying yes to the interview just means that I'm in the conversation of assessing right fit. Great, right? And so she's like, then I get to make yeses or nos based on more information. Correct. And then she's like, and even if I take the jobs, I will have already known exactly specifically what they'll require. I know how to create boundaries and space for my evolving work. I know how to hold space to be with my family. I know how to hold space and set aside and invest in myself as the asset because I am the resource from which everything else flows. So you could just see, I'm not that person. I won't allow going back. I can actually be a yes to exploring these job offers, maybe even be a yes to the revenue, the opportunities, and the money, and also build the work. So this was the decision gate. What's the real thing? So first, is it either or is it both and? Second is, okay, now that it was both and, what's the real fear underneath? What's the tricky fear? And this was sourced from memories of the past that we were worried we were going to come back into and struggle. So then I took her through the identity reminder of like, who are you now? So what can you put in place now? What can you explore now? What can you ask for or require now? Because you are the asset. And so that was the clarity within that second decision gate. And so we moved into the third. I said, given that, what are your next steps? So there was a consolidation. So given what we just explored, what are your next steps? And she could outline those extremely clearly, right? I can do this. I can be a yes to this. I need to ask about this. I need to block this time. And she knew exactly, specifically what she wanted to do. The inner messiness was sorted, and you could just see like her light was back. So those are the 3 decision gates. Fourth, bonus sauce. The next place I asked her, because I wanted to move from just solving the core issue to active creation, what we call fierce creator or formidable style, which is a little bit of a twist. And so I said, all right, last little bit, like the cherry on top. How is being a yes to these potential job offers, if you are a yes to them, how is that actually building the new work that you are devoted to? Like, how can one not just like exist like a both and, but how can that yes enhance your other yes. And I leaned on our interpretation of Amor Fati, which is a law of transmutation or alchemy, which is how do we go from passive, holding both options, to active creation. I'm going to use this to create what I want. And you could see the light bulb go off. And she was like, I know exactly why being a yes to exploring these things as a both and is actually helping me grow my work. She's like, and she got really excited, right? And I'm really excited talking about this. She said, when I went to grow my work before, my new work, and expand, I was always the one doing everything. I was the bottleneck, the linchpin, the one everyone looked to. I was doing it as not only the founder, but also the main practitioner within it. And I know that that's not how it's going to grow. It's not going to create chapters across the United States. It's not going to grow internationally if I'm the one having to do everything. So because I'm also going to be having these other responsibilities and earning over here, it takes the pressure off of this thing having to be my only primary revenue source, in which case now I have the bandwidth, time, energy, money to properly delegate and train other leaders to do what they can do to grow the vision with me. So it actually empowered her. It was almost like forcing her hand through that alchemy to delegate, which is really freaking tough when it's your baby, your work is your baby. So very cool to start to see how can we use that decision to enhance what it is we actually want. So to recap, either or, both and. Second, what is the fear underneath? Third, how do you use the you of now to apply to the situation at hand now, so you don't have to go back to the past? And then bonus sauce, if you are, whatever decision you're going to make, yes, no, both and, whatever, how can you use that decision to create even more growth in the direction that you're moving towards? So that's what I have for you today. If this video gave you the right questions and that's enough for you to move into it, good. Use it. That's what it's here for. And if you want to go deeper than this video can take you alone, we have a whole community, a great community of leaders, creatives, founders who are built like this, creative badasses, and we support them in exactly this kind of work at depth. If that's you, reach out to us and apply for our next season within the Prestige. Link below.